You're listening to Power Talks with Beth Ann and Melody Cedarstrom in the morning, where talk is real, truth is in the talk, and there is power in the truth. And we believe that power talks because truth talks, and truth will set us free. We just know that, and we stand on that. And I want to say good morning to everyone, and good morning to you, Melody.
And good morning to you. Good morning, listeners. Thank you for joining us this beautiful October 4th.
Well, I wanted to share a little update here. I know everybody's you're either glued to the telly watching all this that's coming down, or you're getting tired of watching it because it's the same old rhetoric over and over again. But with the shooting in Las Vegas this weekend on Sunday evening, somebody asked me last evening how my week was going, and I go, well, it wasn't a real good start to the week. I said I'd really rather talk about something else than a massacre here in the United States of America. But anyway, the Clark County Sheriff, Joseph Lombardo, he had a press conference yesterday, and of course I missed most of those. I don't know if you get to watch things during the day. I don't have a TV here.
I got my business, yeah.
Yeah, one day when I'm all rich and famous, I'm going to have a news TV in here so I can kind of stay on top of things. But anyway, in speaking to the reporters, Lombardo said, I want to understand the motivation that you described and to prevent any future incidents. And did this person get radicalized unbeknownst to us? And we want to identify that source. So they are looking into this. Of course, ISIS has taken credit for it more than once now. They said he was one of theirs. And he had recently, Paddock, he was a 64-year-old white male, and he'd wired $100,000 to an account in the Philippines a week before his attack, which was the deadliest mass shooting here in the United States of America. His girlfriend, who is 62 years old, Mary Lou Danley, an Australian national of Filipino descent, was in the Philippines at the time of the attack, it said. And she is still in the Philippines, but I have now where she is on U.S. soil now. She is LA, home. Yeah. And I bet it was quite a homecoming for her. I'm sure she already heard and knew what was going on. Did she know prior to and get out of town, or what was going on?
What's interesting is I saw the pictures of them coming off of the plane at the airport, and she was in a wheelchair.
Oh.
Yeah, and I thought that was kind of odd, but they don't want to push her and pressure too much because they don't want her clamming up and asking for an attorney. So they're kind of treating her with kid gloves so they can see and maybe perhaps extract some information about Paddock, before she decides to, get the attorney and becomes mom. But I thought it was interesting. I don't know if it's because she was a person of interest that they had her in a chair that they were wheeling. I'm not going to say it was it looked like one of those airport wheelchairs. So
they now are calling her that, a person of interest.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So for some reason, she couldn't possibly live in that house. Now, maybe she could. Now, if she disabled, maybe she didn't know everything that was going on in the house. But
I don't know if she was disabled. I'm just saying she was in a wheel. They were rolling her out of one of those of the airline's wheelchairs.
Okay.
Coming off the.
Okay.
So.
All right.
So.
Well, they are calling her a person of interest right now. It says here that she is 62 and Filipino descent, an Australian passport. She was in Manila, Philippines during the shooting. And, of course, he'd sent $100,000 to the Philippines a week before that. The Islamic State is taking responsibility. There's a lot to figure out yet. It's got a lot of unfolding to do. And, a lot of people yet we need to be praying for. Those who are trying to recover, those who are going to be burying their loved ones, those who have been through this horrific event that night. There will be a lot of, what do they call it, survival guilt complexes going on. A lot of things to be praying for. It has changed these people's lives in an instant. You just don't know from day to day what's going to happen.
But, the Paddock, he doesn't seem to fit the profile to get radicalized. But she does. I mean, there's a lot of, there's a lot of in the Philippines. So she does fit the profile. And we do know women can have a pretty powerful impact on a man.
Yeah.
But yeah, he doesn't seem to fit the profile. But and I see, I've seen receipts supposedly that he had a second person in there from room service and so forth. And
he had a suite. So he had 2 windows, and he had set up in both windows. Somebody sent me a video yesterday, and I watched it, and I posted it with big question marks on it. Maybe I shouldn't have. I just put it on Facebook on the show's page if anybody wants to go and try and study it. Of course, videos can be deceiving as well, but they were following with the cursor, and it was really in the same place. It wasn't really like there was other places in that hotel. So I wasn't convinced from the video that there was, people are trying to say there was more than one shooter and blah, blah, blah. They're unfolding it all, and we're just going to have to wait and see. But we need to unite as a nation. We need to be in prayer for these.
We need to find it. We want the truth. We want to know what's happened. We want to know.
Absolutely.
And that's what happens when they hold this information for so long. You get everybody else,
start
trying to put together the dots, and and then we even have to question what we receive from authorities if it is the truth. Let's get the information from the authorities. Then we can start. Then we can start weeding through what they're telling us to see whether it's the truth or not.
And isn't it a shame that we've come to that point in our lives in this country where we don't necessarily believe what they tell us because we've been lied to so many times. But what I was saying is that particular video didn't convince me that it was anything other than what we think we know at this point in time. It didn't convince me of anything else. But he did have a suite, so he had more than one window that he was set up in, and he definitely premeditated this. It was planned to the point that he had cameras set up so he could see when the police were on his tail and coming in. And, like I said, it takes a real brave guy. He wants to sit there and shoot everybody else, but he doesn't want to be shot, so he kills himself. So there's so much we don't know. And, like we said off air, it'd almost be easier to understand if he was radicalized by ISIS and it really was ISIS that did this. We'd know who the enemy is. When it's just a crazy man, you don't know who the enemy is, and
and like that, I watched the one press conference from the under deputy in Las Vegas sheriff. And, he was a little upset in the very beginning saying, hey, you guys, got to be patient for us to, process this and so forth and whatnot. Then they released some video of, some of the police officers had, and it's like, well, what was even, they were just giving the news reporters and the people, just something, that they can watch, and, they were just like appeasing. And it kind of irritated me because it showed absolutely nothing. It meant absolutely nothing.
But it filled time.
It filled time, and it was like they were releasing something to the people just so the natives could have something to chew on and talk about. But
and I think they do a lot of that just because people are just so hungry and they want to know, and they're hurting. And
just like the weapons, it went from 10, 20 to 28 weapons at his home to it's like, what, you guys can't count? You can't count what was in the room the very first time and get it correct. It's not that difficult. And so what was the reasons for not being upfront about that? So it does make you ask questions. If you can't be upfront in the very beginning of how many weapons he had, and all of a sudden it goes from 10 to 18 to 20, whatever he had in that room, and
28,
so
I think is what I heard.
Was the final count? I mean, so it makes you question. Like,
well, they were counting what he had in the house, in the car, in the hotel room, and I'm thinking, man, this guy was set. He was set to go. It was just yeah.
So,
Of course, that goes through different people as well, and you know how that goes when people are making reports and sending them and they can't read their writing or they can't type or something. I don't know.
I'd like to think that they're a little bit more, a little more on
a little
the
better
ball
at their lives.
I would like to hope so. I mean, these are the people protecting the city of Las Vegas. So yeah, I'd like to think that or have we become so underskilled? But that's another program.
We need to put some illegals in to cover that one too.
Yeah, but so it does create this room for, to where we are, to all kinds of reasons and so forth. And
well, as we
and again, this man simply could be evil.
Yeah, it does exist.
It does exist.
Well, even if he was radicalized, I would still call that evil.
Yes, if he was radicalized, and if they can't.
Insane. Well, to me it's insane, but, I was raised differently. But to be radicalized, like I said, that's easier to know who your enemy is than just to think you've got a crazy, insane person that plots something like this out. And who will the next one be to try to one-up him?
And I did watch
that happen across this nation and other places.
I did watch Sean Hannity last night, and I actually thought he had a good program last night. Sometimes I can't handle him, and so forth. But he did have a good show last night. And he really made some good points, and of course he was targeting these Democrats and these Lady Gagas and all these. Gun control nuts and so forth, and it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's like, don't they even think? I mean, yeah, once in a while I might say something that someone will bring to my attention. I'll say, yeah, did I say that? But that's not on a regular basis.
Did I say that out loud?
Did I say that out loud? But, these people, it's like they listen to what you're saying. They don't have a clue. I mean,
yesterday I came, dangerous. I think it was yesterday, maybe it's the evening before. Have we ever heard the radical left? I don't know what else to call them, Melody. Have we ever heard them say anything uniting? I don't recall in the last year or more of them saying anything that would unite this nation. They are constantly pitting us against one another, calling, during the campaign, Hillary calls anybody that isn't for her a deplorable, and, what the late night comedians are going off and telling us we need to get on our knees and ask for forgiveness for ever supporting the NRA. They act like the NRA wrote the Second Amendment.
I know.
The NRA didn't write the Second Amendment. Our founding fathers did, and the people like you and me that believe in the Second Amendment and believe in the sole purpose was not necessarily to defend yourself from the bad guys, although that is what it is. It's also for the people to have a defense against a tyrannical government.
Exactly.
Hillary Clinton knows that, even though she spews out this other garbage, because her thing with the Sal Alinsky, the studies that she had in that How to Radicalize Socialized State, that's one of the things it says. Disarm the people so they have no defense against the government. She knows better.
That's all why know better.
You bet they do. They're spewing out those lies, and I'm sick and tired of it. I'm just sick and tired of it. But it's, showing severed heads, doing all the things that, when have we ever heard the left say anything to unite or to even try to understand we the people of the United States of America? When have we ever heard them unite and talk in that way? We're going into a break. Your calls are welcome. I apologize I didn't give the number sooner. It's 717-300-1218, 717-300-1218. You're listening to Power Talks. It is sponsored by DGS Coins, which is Discount Gold and Silver Trading. We welcome you to join us at 717-300-1218, and we will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Yuji. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more, using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we have returned. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. I want to remind you that Power Talks is sponsored by Discount Gold and Silver Trading, and you can visit the Monday. You go to dgscoins.com. That's dgscoins.com. You can give her a call in the office at 1-800-375-4188. That's 1-800-375-4188. I've got that memorized now. Aren't you proud of me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yes, I am.
I have a good friend here in this area, and
before you go on, I just wanted to make comment about, you were talking about how the radical left, they never say anything to unite. They never have anything good to say. It's all about hate. And, and it's the same thing. We had Mr. Trump visit Puerto Rico, and what do you hear from all these, radical left is, oh, what a terrible visit it was, the stupid things that he said and so forth, and all they did and all they have done is criticize his trip to Puerto Rico. And, it's just the same thing. How about giving these people of Puerto Rico, some credit? And he went there to visit. They wanted him there. Things, I guess, once a general was assigned to there, things did start to, he took control. There wasn't anybody in control of anything, I believe, and he took control, and the items started to get handed out and so forth, and so they're now, and we're seeing things, improve as far as taking care of people and so forth, with not their major needs at this point, but food and water, is the number one aid right now for Puerto Rico. So, again, it's just another sign. They don't have anything nice to say. They don't have anything good to say. And I don't agree with everything that Mr. Trump says, and that's my right. That doesn't mean that his trip to Puerto Rico was wasted, and people in Puerto Rico that thought since this thing in what happened in Las Vegas, he wouldn't go to Puerto Rico at all. And so he did go. He did make a showing, and it does make a difference to the people of that island. And Absolutely. So, again, instead of ripping apart his visit, talk about the good things that it might have accomplished.
Well, they did. When he went overseas, and those nations have embraced him. Puerto Rico gave him quite a welcome yesterday when he spoke, but that's not what you're hearing on the mainstream media over here. You'd think they were stoning him everywhere he went, and that's what they wished was going on. But the only ones that really hate him are the radical left and the mainstream media, which is part of the radical left. I'm like you. I'm not going to accept everything that he says and does as perfect. But give the man a chance and give him credit where credit's due. What has he had to undertake since he became president? With not just with the natural disasters, but with the obstructionists in D.C., including Republicans. I mean, his own party. He thought his own party was going to help him repeal Obamacare and do some of the other things, and now they're just, putting the brakes on, like a kid trying to push a bike when they got the brakes on or something, vehicle, it's what he's had to endure, handled these disasters very well. He made sure everything was in place, and I don't know what all the president has to do to get all that to run smooth, but it has done well. We've learned from mistakes, I'm sure, that
he's taken the restraints. He's taken the restraints off of these organizations to let them work and to do their jobs. And that was a lot of the problem. There was people couldn't do this, they had to get approval for this. Well, just go in there and get it done. And the whole thing about it is, and Puerto Rico, maybe we'll talk about, Puerto Rico's debt tomorrow, and it's like, and he says it doesn't matter who's holding it, and he says even Goldman Sachs, and he kind of had a little smile on his face, so I know that was a direct message. I know that was a direct message,
to Goldman Sachs.
To Goldman Sachs to get ready, and, it was their little warning and so forth, but, it is something that's going to have to be dealt with, and Puerto Rico is no different than the United States of America and our debt, and Puerto Rico's debt is our debt, so part of our debt.
Well, we have a caller. I wanted to share this editorial, but we have a caller, and we're going to go to Joe. Joe in Arkansas. Joe, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing well, and how are you, Beth?
Doing good, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I've heard about this incident in Las Vegas, the shooting in Las Vegas. And just my feelings and thoughts about it. Of course, I'm not any kind of expert or authority on the subject, but just, the things I've been thinking about it. It looks to me, from all the reports that I hear about it, it sounds to me like this was probably not, something that a lone nut like this guy did. It sounds to me like it seems to have the earmarks of being something, very big, very well planned out operation with a lot more people involved than just this guy. And I would suspect it's some kind of collaboration between ISIS and the Democratic Party. We know that Barack Obama and Hillary, and they're probably still, supporters of ISIS. And so I'd suspect that both the Democratic Party and ISIS is involved in this thing. And also, I also heard it reported that this guy worked for the government, for several agencies, including the IRS. And I would think that anyone that works for the government like that, would tend to be more on the side of the Democrat Party, and working for the government like that would tend to help him make important connections inside the Democratic Party. I would think that might possibly be a factor here. And also the fact that he was a gambler, had a lot of gambling debts, that seems to me that kind of Republicans tend to more want to make money from honest work, I think, whereas Democrats tend to be more something for nothing people that would go in for gambling. So, that's something else that occurs to me. So, but, the really horrible thing that I feel about this is that, I just feel like probably, unfortunately, this is not a isolated incident, and now things are going to get back to normal. I don't think we're going to be allowed to get back to normal. I kind of suspect that this is like the beginning of a sustained campaign of similar type incidents, unfortunately, that are going to be going on for quite a while to disrupt the Trump presidency, because Trump wants to get the country back to normal and get the economy going good again and make life good again in the country. And, the Democrats especially, they just don't want to allow that to happen.
Well, all they would have to do, though, is let our economy collapse, let our monetary system collapse. But, that's coming, so that is I believe, one of their plans. We don't know. I don't know if he had gambling debts. He was a gambler. We don't know if he had debts. We don't know if he was in debt. The guy had a lot of money. He couldn't have been dumb. He was able to make money over the years and reinvest his money, whether it came from debts, whether it came from, where did he get his? I don't think he was a $10 million wealthy, I think, but we don't know. We don't know. They say he had a couple $1 million. He has, more money than most, but that doesn't make him real wealthy. He didn't have $20, $30, $50 million. So, we don't know much about his. We get bits and pieces, and that's what irritates me. We get bits and pieces that he was, a gambler. Well, okay, we know the gamblers get rooms comped all the time, and it's just the information that they give us just makes us create more questions because they're not giving us the total scoop right away. But you certainly can create all kinds of scenarios and so forth. And yeah, I do believe, heck, we were giving weapons to the rebels in Syria, and those rebels took our weapons and created ISIS. And that was under the Obama administration. So.
And I think Obama was just fine with that.
Yeah, he was just fine.
Oh, yeah, he drew the line in his stand and did nothing.
Getting back to the left being, the radical left not being uniting in any way. They don't say anything that would unite the American people. They have not been sympathetic to anyone that this has happened to, at least the ones that are being vocal. But they have immediately blamed people who support the Second Amendment and the NRA. They have immediately blamed them. They don't blame the nut job. They blame everybody else.
Everybody else.
It seems to be their game, However, when we talk about did he have help, I'm thinking there's different ways to have help. How did he purchase all these weapons that he apparently had, and the ammo, and the other things that he had, and how did he get it all set up and such in the hotel? How did he do all that? Did he get it all himself? Did he buy those guns one by one? Did somebody else help purchase them and bring them in? How did that happen? It's, and over how much length of time? Was it 20 years? Was it just in the last 6 months? It was well thought out and planned, this thing that he did, this massacre. And so it's, there's a lot of unanswered questions, and just because there might not have been a second shooter, that doesn't mean he didn't have help.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But I don't think he was a dumb person. I don't think he was
obviously not.
He was able to, accomplish a lot on his own. So, to say that he needed help to do this is again, And then again, we don't know. We're just trying to connect the dots because our minds can't, fathom an individual doing this all on his own. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just, there has to be some sort of explanation, I guess. But anyway, thank you, Joe.
I appreciate it, Joe.
I do, too. We appreciate you every day. So I look forward to your calls.
Me too. He always has a good insight.
He really does. He really does.
I have a letter to the editor that I wanted to share, and this man is he is a vet. He actually was a wounded vet, so he is he's not disabled, but he was wounded in the military. He lives in this area. And I'm just going to give his first name. I'm not going to give his last name, and it's Ed. And anybody that's listening that's from this area, should they be, they know who he is because he writes editorials periodically. And this one, he starts out, Dear Editor, on the heels of the Las Vegas shooting, Democrats once again began reacting with their customary hysteria and hate speech. Hillary took the opportunity to blast the NRA for wanting to legalize sound suppressors. The smartest woman in the world calls them silencers. And Haley Giftman Gold, a vice president at CBS, said she had no sympathy for the victims of Las Vegas shooting because country music fans are often Republicans, conservative. The media calls this shooting the worst mass killing in U.S. history. Seriously? A quick look at federal statistics shows that in 2014 alone, the state of California aborted an average of 431 living children per day. I would say that on any given day, the bloody count of innocent children in the United States ranks higher than the tragedy of Las Vegas. Semantics don't cut it, folks. Abortion kills children. Abortion is a perennial plank in the Democrat agenda. Democrats have long supported no-limit abortions, and they play every word game they know to justify their position. Some Democrats may say that they don't support abortion, but they continue to vote for those who do. In a court of law, an accomplice is considered as guilty as the perpetrator. No parsing of words or blame shifting can change that. And he signs his name and his address and everything else on it. I'm not going to give all that, but I think he did a pretty good job of summing up the Democrats and their rhetoric. I can't listen to all of it, but Hillary Clinton has a podcast, and I listened to her rhetoric, and she said that the conservatives their rhetoric over the Second Amendment. The NRA didn't write the Second Amendment. Our founding fathers did. And so who are they really angry at? They want a socialistic state.
Communist.
They don't want a free republic.
Communist.
Therefore, who are they really angry at? Who are they really upset with?
Well, it just goes to show if they're angry at the founding fathers, then they're angry at the Constitution, and that's what that's what they want to debunk anyway. This is the whole thing, but certainly they need to take the weapons from us. And there's what was it that? This is Bill Riley, and his comment is, "This is the price of freedom."
Mm-hmm. I did hear that.
Yeah. And
I did read that.
Yes.
And it is.
It is.
It is. And how many times, and we don't hear about very many of those. I know you probably report some, and I do as well. When someone in the crowd had a gun and saved the day. Mm-hmm. You don't hear that. They don't want you to know that. But it happens a lot. I have a lot of friends that
just a week.
They conceal carry, and I'm pretty comfortable when I'm around them. I'm not scared. I really enjoy being around my friends that I know carry, mm-hmm. And it is our right, and they can't take it away. But that's what they want. They don't want to just remove silencers. Now, I posted, Heritage Foundation has this going around. They went to the NRA and they had them show them, and they took video of the guns with the silencer and the guns without the silencer. Of course, sound suppressor is what they're supposed to be called, I believe, sound suppressors. And they mentioned in there the legalization of those. It's really it's more for the shooter than it is for anything else. But there wasn't a whole lot of difference in the sound.
There's not a lot of difference.
No,
it's not like what you see on TV and in the movies.
Yeah, where you hear
no,
instead of bang, bang,
like
bang, you hear.
It's not like that. And
no, not at all. So,
but and you're right. It is mainly, it's really for the shooter, and I think
never hear them. They never really talk about the lives. Because liberty doesn't mean anything to them, and neither does life. And those, it came to a realization of mine like 2.5 years ago, I think. And I was doing a show with the Vitae Foundation, and I actually had Michelle Malkin on. And I told Michelle, I said, it came to me last night that those who value life value liberty, and vice versa. We know that the Democrats or the socialists, whatever you want to call this left radical group that's attacking the United States, they do not value liberty at all. And you can see with their stand on abortion, they certainly do not value life. And their rhetoric and their hate speech over any kind of a tragedy, whether it's the hurricanes, whether it's the election of somebody they didn't want, whether it's a mass shooter, they don't ever say anything about the loss of life in a compassionate manner. But they always attack something. And it's almost always with something like what happened Sunday night, that they go back after the NRA and the Second Amendment, as if the NRA owned the Second Amendment. And like I said earlier, it's not really the NRA that they hate. It's the Founding Fathers and our constitutional republic. That's what they really dislike. And the American people who dared to elect somebody. We weren't really a whole lot sold on the man, but we elected somebody because we didn't want them.
No.
How dare us?
Yes. And I don't know if you knew, I think we talked a little bit about this. I don't know if we did, but the House yesterday approved a bill banning most abortions. And, No,
I didn't hear what they did. I talked about that was what they were going to vote on. But they did pass it?
They did pass it, but it has to go to the Senate, and most likely is not expected to emerge from the Senate because most of the Democrats, and you have a handful of moderate Republicans, can block the consideration. So,
and that's when we need to give out the number to the D.C. switchboard, and anyone listening, you need to call your senators and you need to tell them, I don't have the name of that bill in front of me, you need to tell them that you want this. To ban the late-term abortion, 212-224-3121. It's the D.C. switchboard. Put that down, 212-224-3121.
The bill
Do you have the name of the bill?
Is known as the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act.
Pain-Capable Unborn
Child Protection Act. And the vote, the House passed the bill 237 to 189. 2 Republicans opposed the bill. They don't list who those 2 Republicans were. Let me see. We'll get them.
We'll get those names.
And Senator Pat, and just confirming what you're talking about, Senator Patty Murray, the ranking Democrat on the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, called the bill a waste of precious time. So
instead of a waste of precious lives. Yeah.
So
they
right
just
there,
anger me.
Oh,
they just anger. I have something in my hand that tells that just the title of this article that tells their mentality. They don't value life. And This is coming out of WorldNet Daily, Melody. In Denver, in a lawsuit against the state of Colorado, a coalition of environmental groups are asking the federal court to grant personhood to the Colorado River. Now think about that. Yes, what the abortion industry in America refuses to grant to unborn children, a lawsuit now is seeking for a river and its tributaries to have personhood. That's where we stand. That's where we stand.
Look at the monkey. Look at the monkey. Who what was the story behind that? Copyright.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he got copyright privileges. That makes him a human. It doesn't make him a human, but...
You can take a child and destroy its life from the womb, but don't you dare step on an eagle's egg. Don't you dare pick up an eagle's feather. This country is a mess. I've got to get the book. I read this little book to my children over and over and over again. I need to buy it. I need to get quantities of it and rewrite the thing. Inside, outside, upside down. This nation doesn't know who it is or where it came from anymore.
This Senator Patty Murray, she says waste of precious time. Let me say what else she said. And, when you guys make those phone calls, make sure you call her. She says, let me be clear. This bill is as dead, just like those babies, on arrival in the Senate. Just like it was the last time Republicans tried to pander to their extreme base by playing this particular political game with women's health. How does she get elected?
Abortion is not about a woman's health. That is a lie as blatant as it can possibly be. It is not health. It is not a contraceptive. It is a taking of a life, and it is a risky procedure. We're going into a break. Your calls are welcome at 717-300-1218. You got me riled up now. 717-300-1218. You give her a call and you tell her she's a waste of your precious vote. We will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded. It has been borrowed. It has been purchased. It has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
We have returned. You're listening to Power Talks. It's Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. I want to remind you that Power Talks is sponsored by Discount Gold and Silver Trading. We want you to utilize Discount Gold and Silver Trading, and we'll keep Power Talks right here with you. That's something we want to do very much. Go to dgscoins.com. That's dgscoins.com. And the number to call Melody in her office is 1-800-375-4188. That's 1-800-375-4188. And I'm going to put a plug out for CSC Talk Radio while I'm at it. We aren't a sponsor here, but we have another show that we're trying to keep on the air. It is nationally syndicated. I'm on shortwave. I'm on stations, and I'm also on the Internet. And I have apps for your phones. And Power Talks keeps going. We might try and do that and get a website up and do all kinds of things. We have some ambition if we see that you really are enjoying this, and we'll keep it going as best we can. But you can just tune in to CSC Talk Radio. I'm not sure where you are. You can tune in on the shortwave on 12.160, or you can go to my website at csctalkradio.com. That's csctalkradio.com. If you got one of those little smartphones, you can download an app, Carry Me in Your Pocket. And
we're working on that too with my program, Financial Survival, at dgscoins.com. We're in the process. It's been a long process, but you get sidetracked with business and my orders and helping with my clients. Well, yeah, helping with my clients is more important than working on the website. So I have someone that is working on it, and it's been a long process. But we are trying to become a little more
up to date. Everything's up to date. Kansas City. They're gone about as far as they can go. Okay.
Yeah, so make sure you get to dgscoins.com, and you can listen to our financial program at 4 o'clock Eastern from the website. So
I was going to say, you can listen online, can't you?
You can listen online. Yes, you can. But I just wanted to finish up, and then we can move on to something else. I sort of lost, but during the break, Beth and I were talking about, we were talking about this abortion legislation, and we were talking about the senator from Washington. But what is also equally disgusting and shameless is this is the best that the Republicans can do. This is all political so that they can say for their next election, we tried. So, yes, I'm truly, pro-life, and we tried, but it was those nasty Democrats, which you're correct. But so I don't know who's more shameless.
Let me remove the scales from anybody's eyes, should they still have them on there. Watch how your senators and representatives vote, and watch which ones are up for election. Mm-hmm. Watch how they vote, and if they're up for election. And then watch what they do to the bill if they clip something else on it. Because that's when they'll come up with the excuse, I had to vote this way because of such and such on there. And that's when we, the people, need to start telling them, one bill at a time, no longer than 6 pages. No bill has any reason to be longer than the Constitution of the United States. And James Madison made that comment. I had that up there with Pelosi's comment. He says it shouldn't be convoluted. It shouldn't be where you can't understand it or can't read it. They do that on purpose. And you need to understand, they have a racket going there in D.C. That's why I call them D.C. occupiers, occupying offices and cutting deals. It is a silent Wall Street behind the doors. They're talking about the NRA and all the lobbying that they do, and yeah, they do. But look at all the lobbyists that have gone down with Planned Parenthood. Look at all the lobbyists that have gone down with the health care bills. Look at all the lobbyists that are there for everything, all these agendas that we are fighting tooth and toenail, and they're making the lives of the American people miserable. And they're tearing this nation down, tearing the families down. Look what's going on in the NFL. Who cares about football anymore? I liked football. You know, and it's all happening in the year that the Chiefs are going to go all the way.
Yes.
I'm a Chiefs fan. I'm a Kansas City girl. And it's going to happen in the year that they go all the way, and I'm not watching them.
Well, you know, this came out earlier today, and again, we do have to start following a little bit closer. You're going to have the Senate Democrats. They're going to introduce the background check bill. They tend to introduce legislation closing a loophole that lets a person purchase a gun if their background check isn't completed after 72 hours. Blumenthal of Connecticut, he, again, is another low on my list of folks I like, announced the measure during a news conference along with Durbin of Illinois and Murphy of Connecticut. They spoke from the 32nd, that was the three called on Congress to pass legislation to prevent the next mass shooting. He says Congress is complicit each day it fails to act. The reason we don't have any gun safety measures in this United States is because of the NRA. We will defeat them. We have it in our power to curb gun violence and save lives. It is that simple. Congress is complicit each day it fails. He says gun violence is a uniquely American problem. It's because this country has the loosest set of gun laws allowing dangerous. Listen to this garbage that they just.
And it is garbage. They're not. It's not even true.
It's not even true. But the thing of it, you know, what I find interesting about this, and I've been talking about this for a long time, they use gun safety. They use that term. Most people will agree for gun safety measures.
Absolutely.
That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about gun control. They're talking about something far more dangerous than gun safety measures. But that's a term that people will accept. Everybody wants safety. Everybody wants, gun safe. Everybody wants to be safe around guns, But that's not what they imply. The websites that promote gun safety, there's never anything on the websites about, gun safety. It's all about gun control. It's all about eliminating our rights. And yes, it is. I don't know if it's a problem, but it is unique to America because we're the only ones that's allowed to own weapons to protect us from these people.
And they're not talking about nice groupings with your control. They're talking about taking your guns and limiting what you can have, including limiting your ammo.
Absolutely.
You can only have X amount of ammo.
Yep.
This is all about removing. There's only one reason. There's only one reason. If you can't see that right now, America, I don't care if you're a registered Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, or if you've never voted. Shame on you if you haven't. But the only reason for elected officials to want to remove the guns from the people are because they don't want you armed to come after them. And if you can see the corrupt nature of what's going on in D.C., I've coined the phrase D.C. occupiers, but I mean it as a bad thing. They are not representing we the people. They're not representing life. You can see that with abortion. They're not representing life. They're not protecting the innocent. They're not protecting our borders. They're not protecting our national security. What ISIS was developed because we made some stupid legislation and stupid decisions. Did they do it on purpose or did they do it because they're stupid? I don't know. But we've got a problem, and we've got to deal with it. Whether this shooter in Las Vegas was an ISIS recruit, we don't know.
And these guys.
But taking guns away from the American people is not the answer.
There's a comment from a person that lives in Connecticut, and he says he can't stand either of these senators. They are both opportunists and liars. Senator Murphy's just an idiot. These guys have armed security around them most of the time, if not all of the time, and yet they stand there and lecture us about weapons. Their real goal is to, as you said, we've said, everyone says, is to repeal the Second Amendment and to confiscate these weapons from private citizens. And so, folks, look at who you've been voting in, and
don't do it anymore.
Don't do it anymore. Get out there and vote.
The Roy Moore that got elected is an outsider, basically. I mean, he's not a true outsider, but he is an outsider. He will not be the norm in D.C. And we need to go to lots of Judge Roy Moores across this nation. And we need to start electing people that are not career politicians. I hear music. Already I hear music. We are out of time for today. We welcome you again tomorrow morning. Power Talks is sponsored by Discount Gold and Silver Trading. We ask you to give Melody a call and see what's going on. She had a really good special yesterday.
$388, 1 ounce American Silver Eagles. Still
Get
the price.
Started. And you know what?
Up.
Christmas is coming up, and that'll make great gifts. 1-800-375-4188 is her office number, and we will be back with more power and more talk tomorrow.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.